All right, hi everyone. My name is Mariko Edwards, or Mari, if any of you know me, and I'm running the shoulder pain workshop tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'll give you a little more information about who I am in case you haven't met me before. So I graduated with a master's degree in physical therapy from Mount St. Mary's College in the year 2000. I became certified in Pilates in 2005, which I use often to enrich my treatment programs for my patients. I became a board certified specialist in orthopedics in 2010. And over my past 19 years working in the clinic, I have treated countless numbers of patients with shoulder pain. So tonight we're talking about the shoulder. What exactly, structure-wise, are we talking about? What structures make up the shoulder? Well, there's the joint itself and the muscles and tissues which attach to the bones. The joint is made up of 3 bones: the scapula or shoulder blade, the clavicle or collarbone, and the humerus, which is the long uppermost bone in your arm. The joint is considered a semi-ball and socket joint, which is what gives the shoulder its vast mobility, but it does not provide stability. So it gives it the mobility, but it doesn't provide for much stability. In fact, the shoulder is the most mobile joint in the body. So now that's what brings us to the muscles of the shoulder. These include the rotator cuff, which is a group of muscles, 4 muscles, that help control the movement of your arm and stabilize the shoulder joint. So here in this picture, we have the shoulder joint. This is the scapula. This is the clavicle. And this is the humerus. So where these bones come together, that is your shoulder joint. And the entire thing is sometimes called the shoulder girdle. So what are some possible sources of shoulder pain? Structure-wise, what could be giving you that pain? Some possibilities are the muscles, the bursa, the nerves, and the capsule. Now, of course, there's numerous others, but these are some common sources of shoulder pain. So first, we're going to talk about the muscles, specifically the rotator cuff. The picture here is a front view and a back view of the rotator cuff. And you can see in the picture how the rotator cuff muscles originate from the scapula and then insert or attach onto the humerus. So there's your back view, and there is your front view. You can also see that the tendons from the muscles pass through this small space here. So they go through this tiny little space, which can get pinched if the space should become narrow. And we'll talk about that in more detail upcoming. Another possible source of pain could be the bursa. A bursa is a fluid-filled sac that allows for muscle and tendon to glide more smoothly over bone and ligament. There are 8 bursa in the shoulder joint. The bursa that is the most common culprit for pain and one of the largest is called the subacromial bursa, and it is pictured here in the purple right there. And as you can see, it is also located in the small space, which can get pinched if that space should narrow. Nerves. So some people experience pain that they describe as radiating down their arm, or it feels like tingling, electricity, or hot or cold running water, that sort of feeling. This type of pain is characteristic of nerve pain. And as you can see in the picture, the nerves that exit the neck pass through the shoulder area, and they can too get pinched by bone or tissues, which would result in those types of symptoms. The capsule. The capsule is a fibrous sheath that completely surrounds the shoulder joint. Whereas the structure of the joint allows for mobility, The capsule aids in stability. It helps to stabilize the ball within the socket. This structure can be a problem if it should become too stiff, which is the case in frozen shoulder, and we'll also be discussing that in more detail upcoming. All right, so we just went over some possible structures that could be the source of your shoulder pain. So, what type of daily activities bring on your shoulder pain? Do you have pain with reaching overhead, or when you're getting dressed, or reaching behind the back, or lifting or carrying? If you can reproduce that pain, then you can reduce pain. What is it about that movement that triggers the pain? If we correct the movement, the alignment, the stiffness or the weakness involved with that movement, we can reduce the pain. And isn't that our goal? To reduce and hopefully eliminate our shoulder pain? It should be. So in the face of pain, there are no heroes, meaning we don't get any reward for living with pain. And if that's true, then why do so many of us put up with the pain that we have? Basically, there are three ways that people deal with pain. The first is you ignore it. Unfortunately, this is the #1 way that people deal with pain. In fact, I just had a patient this morning who, when he was describing his pain to me and telling me how long he had had that pain, he was saying, well, you know, I've had it a long time and this is just the way it is now. Like, this is my pain. And I asked him, well, why? You know, why is this the way it is? And he, of course, had no reason, because oftentimes when we're dealing with pain, if we ignore it, we just think, oh, it's maybe going to magically go away on its own, or we just make excuses for why it's there and it never gets addressed and it could potentially get worse. Another way that people deal with pain is to alter it, and that refers to reducing the pain with medication or through injection or shots, which helps to reduce that feeling of pain, but it doesn't really take away the cause of the pain. It just masks that pain. So the third and best way to deal with pain is to handle it. You address the pain head on, seek out treatment. So you find out what is causing our shoulder pain. Well, 44 to 65% of reported shoulder pain is related to or caused by impingement syndrome. Impingement is a fancy medical word that basically means squishing. Impingement syndrome involves compression or squishing of the rotator cuff or bursa. As we discussed earlier, the space between the shoulder blade and the humerus houses the rotator cuff tendons and the bursa. If this space narrows, as seen in this picture, here with the white arrow, if this space narrows, those structures can get squished or impinged. So what narrows that space? What leads to narrowing of that space? One big contributor is poor posture. Poor posture can result in structures getting squished or impinged in the space. So let's do a little experiment. We're going to slouch. So everybody kind of slouch your spine and round your shoulders, okay? So we're all in this good old slouchy posture that maybe we were already in before I asked you to assume that posture. So from that position, in that slouch, you're gonna raise your arm up as high as you can go. And when you're in that slouch position, you'll notice that you can only raise your arm so far. It's really not gonna go up that high. And the reason is because in that position, that joint space is narrowed and you just don't have the mobility there. You can't get it past. But if you sit or stand up really tall, pull your shoulder blade back, you can reach all the way up because now that joint space is more open. Pretty cool. So it is the rotator cuff muscles that help to maintain the joint space in this neutral open position. If the joint space is not maintained, the impingement can result in rotator cuff tendinitis, bursitis, and even rotator cuff tears. So if you leave something for too long and with that narrow space, it's going to whittle away at your tendons and it could lead to tearing. And nobody wants that. Another cause of shoulder pain is commonly called the frozen shoulder. And again, in fancy medical speak, it's called adhesive capsulitis. This involves thickening of the capsule around the joint space. So you can see in the picture here, we've got a nice healthy capsule up top. And in the picture below, the capsule has become thickened, it's inflamed, there's even some adhesions, which is basically scar tissue forming. The symptoms of frozen shoulder include sharp pain and restricted movement in almost all ranges of motion. So reaching up, reaching to the side, reaching back, all of that is very painful and very limited. There is no known direct cause of frozen shoulder, but it can be related to trauma, metabolic disorders such as diabetes, or prolonged immobility. Alternatively, another cause of shoulder pain can be hypermobility or instability of the shoulder joint. So just as not enough mobility is a bad thing, too much mobility is also a bad thing. If there is too much movement of the shoulder, joint structures can get strained. Dislocation can occur if there's too much laxity or looseness in the capsule. And it can also occur because of a trauma, like let's say you have a really hard fall on an outstretched arm, the capsule can become torn, the ligaments can become torn, thereby resulting in instability. Also, weakness of the rotator cuff muscles themselves can result in instability of the shoulder. So, how do we handle or treat these disorders, and what does successful, non-invasive, conservative treatment look like? Well, it looks like Byron doing exercise. The first successful treatment could include hands-on physical therapy, or as we call it, manual therapy. This is when the therapist can mobilize the joint, which helps to stretch the capsule. They can manually stretch the joint and mobilize or release the muscles and soft tissues to lengthen what has become tight or stiff. So we're putting our hands on you and we're helping you stretch these areas that you probably can't stretch so well yourself. Another form of successful treatment could include modalities. So those are heat, for example, or ice, or electrical stimulation. These modalities can help to improve blood flow, to reduce inflammation, and to aid in healing. And then finally, successful treatment will most likely include exercise, because as we just discussed, weakness of the muscles can negatively affect the shoulder, and also tightness of certain muscles or areas can negatively affect the shoulder. So exercise can strengthen weak muscles or stretch tight areas to restore proper joint alignment and movement of the shoulder joint. So now we're going to get up, we're going to move a little bit. If you guys have some TheraBands, you can do it with us, but Byron is going to demonstrate some common shoulder exercises and how they're done. So we are going to stop our screen share, right? Yeah. Okay, and then maybe, do I need to make that larger or?
Yeah, I think what we can do is.
So we have a better idea what people are seeing.
In ours.
Okay, perfect. So we're first going to take the band in your hand. I'm going to take that in both hands. He's going to hold it with a grip with his thumbs facing up. So he's in a little neutral position of his shoulder. He's going to clamp his elbows next to his sides, okay? And this exercise is going to open up his chest muscle, so that tight, rounded shoulder front area is going to open up, and he's going to be strengthening the muscles between his shoulder blades here. So strengthening his scapular muscles and opening up his shoulders by, he's going to squeeze his shoulder blades together, and he's going to gently pull out on that band for tension, rotating out and hinging. Perfect. And then slowly bring it back into neutral. Good. And then we're going to do that again. So he's going to squeeze his shoulder blades and pull out. And slowly bring it back. Great. And pull. And return. And he's always initiating the movement from his shoulder blades. So squeezing those shoulder blades, rotating the arms, letting the arms follow what the blades are doing. So squeezing the shoulder blades and pulling out. Good. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Yeah, you can turn the side. Good idea. So squeeze your shoulder blades and pull out. And you can see his side view here. He's got really nice tall alignment. His chest is open. And his chin is tucked. That looks excellent. I'm sure his abs are pulled in too. Always helpful. And we're going to do about 10 reps total. So we've already done 6. He's going to do 4 more. Squeeze your shoulder blades. Pull out. Good. Slowly in and squeeze those shoulder blades and pull out. And slowly back. 2 more. Squeeze the blades. And return. And 1 more time. Perfect. Great. Okay. So now we're going to take our band and we're going to make 2 parts of it. If you've got a door close by or a chair or something sturdy you can tie it to, you can tie it to so that you have 2 ends. We're going to tie it to our little Cadillac Pilates pole here. And we're going to do a rowing type exercise next. So let's make sure you have a good view there. Yeah, that's good. So Byron's going to go ahead and take a strap in each hand. Okay, he's going to start with his arms extended. So maybe choke up a little bit. There we go. Good. Sorry. So same thing. He's going to squeeze his shoulder blades together. He's going to retract them against his back, and then he's going to draw his elbows in by his side and let them follow what his blades are doing. Perfect. So this too is going to open up the front of the chest, open up that shoulder joint, and strengthen those scapular muscles in the back. Good. Squeeze the blades. Good. Retract the blades and draw the elbows in by your sides. Good. Perfect. Great. So just like the other exercise, lead with your blades and let the arms follow. The most important thing is that the shoulder blades are retracting. You're not just yanking on the straps.
Hey, Mari, we got a question. If this is hurting, what's a way that everybody can modify it quickly?
So the possibilities could be, it could be the resistance. If you have too much resistance and it's too much for the muscles, you may want to go to a lighter resistance or choke down on your strap, or just cut out the resistance altogether and just do the arm movement. So you squeeze your blades and just bring your elbows in without any resistance at all. If you're activating your blades first, it really shouldn't be painful, especially if you don't have resistance, because you're not pulling the strap. Hang on a moment, I'm going to focus on Byron a little bit. When you bring your elbow in, so he's going to squeeze his blades together first, he's going to drop his elbow right here at his side. He's not going to go beyond that. So that way we're targeting the alignment in the posture more so than just yanking on the strap and pulling it. So that may reduce pain if that's what's happening. Let me know. Couple more. I think Byron's getting tired. He's got more to do, so. Perfect, good. Okay, so that's a rowing exercise. Again, targeting your scapular muscles and opening up that shoulder joint. So now we're just gonna take one of the bands. You can let the other one fall. And we're going to do a rotator cuff exercise. It's a pretty famous one. It's external rotation of the shoulder. So you're going to face the band. You're going to take the band in your outside hand. So if you're facing the band, it's going to be your outside hand. Thank you. It's late. It's late, everyone. And then you can use a towel roll under your elbow if you have one. Otherwise, you're just going to clamp your elbow really tight by your side. Okay? And we have loops in this band. That's what Byron's doing here. If you don't have a loop, just grip it. So elbow clamps in by his side. Before he does anything, he's going to squeeze his shoulder blades down and back so that it's anchoring his blade against his back. Great. So now he's in a nice neutral posture. And then from there, he's just going to rotate that arm out to the side and then slowly bring it back to neutral. Good. And his elbow should be at about 90 degrees. And Byron would prefer a towel, but maybe we can try this.
Yeah.
So pillows work too. Good. And then again, when you pull out, you're only going to pull out as far as you feel comfortable doing. So don't try to force the movement. It's not about how far you get. It's about the control of the movement, your posture, and your alignment. Okay? So Byron has pretty good range. If you don't get out that far, it's okay. You're still working, but you may have less range than Byron does. And that's okay. We're not trying to force it. Again, you don't get extra credit for having more range than someone else. It's not a competition. Good. Keep squeezing those blades together. Make sure that they're anchored. Good. And we're going to do 4 more on this side. Good. Let's do 2 more. Squeeze the blade. Good. You can kind of notice when he relaxes a little bit, you'll see the shoulder kind of round. So that's what you're looking for. Perfect. Good. Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and do the other shoulder too. So I will turn this around. So Byron's going to turn around. There we are. Okay. So we've got nice neutral posture. He's going to anchor his shoulder blade against his back. Elbow is in tight by his side. He's at that 90-degree angle of his elbow, and then he's rotating out. Perfect. Squeeze the blade and rotate. Good. Nice and open and squeeze. Really good. And again, if you don't have a band, you don't need a band. You can do the movement without a band. You could do it with a little free weight if that's what you have. The main thing is that the alignment is good. So his shoulders open here, and then he's doing his movement from there. Great. Let's do 4 more. Byron says yes. He's a good sport. 1 more time. Squeeze the blade back, get it back. There you go. Perfect, great. So those are a few strengthening exercises. It's strengthening of your rotator cuff and also your scapular muscles in the back. And so now we're gonna follow it up with a stretch. So we're gonna stretch out the pectoral muscles in the front, the chest. We didn't specifically talk about it, but this area gets really tight, especially if we're working at a computer or slouching or doing something like that. So to stretch it, the handout I gave you shows a doorway stretch. We don't have a doorway here, but you can do the same stretch by just taking your hands behind your back. Let's see if you can show. And then you're just going to straighten your elbows and drop your shoulders. Good. And then you're going to hold that for just 30 seconds. So it's a stretch. We want to hold it at least 30 seconds and give the muscles and tissues time to lengthen. You can always hold it longer, but it has to be at least 30 seconds to allow those muscles and tissues time to lengthen, okay? Looking good. So it's nice, a nice, good, feel-good stretch in the front. Awesome. 15 more seconds. Good. 5 more seconds. Perfect. Great. So we're a little strengthened and we're a little bit stretched. Very good. Okay, so let's go back to our slide here. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, everyone. So what are you going to do about your shoulder pain? Please, I beg of you, please do not ignore it, okay? We've gone through all of the reasons why that's a bad idea. Really, we should be handling it at this point. And at M3 Physical Therapy, we can help you handle your shoulder pain. We have two options. We offer free screens, which if you're still not sure if it's something that can be treated by physical therapy, or maybe you want to discuss it in a little more detail with a physical therapist, we do offer free screens here. They are 30 minutes, a one-on-one consultation with a licensed physical therapist. It's not a treatment, but it will allow you to kind of go over your symptoms, your history with the therapist, and then you can decide, and they can help you decide if it's something that they think physical therapy can help you with. More importantly, though, we really want you to actively, treat your shoulder to handle this pain. So we'd love for you to book an evaluation here. We can get you started. And in the evaluation, we can provide treatment. So there's a big plus there. Ignoring the pain should not be the number one option. Waiting for the pain to go away can allow the situation to worsen, and it could possibly result in damage that may require serious interventions, such as, again, the dreaded word surgery, and nobody wants that. So please, we would love to help you handle your shoulder pain. We've got our contact information here on the slide, our address, our email, and our phone number. And I would love it if you could reach out to us soon so we can handle your pain today. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have now. If I can unmute people.
Murray?
Yeah.
Hi, I have a impingement on my shoulder and a torn rotator cuff. Can I still do Pilates?
Yes, Pilates would be great for that. Because the point of exercise and Pilates is that you're doing it in the proper form. So you're doing it in the most neutral position of the shoulder. It allows you to strengthen those muscles without straining them further. And if you've got any tearing of the rotator cuff, you really need to strengthen everything you can around it, and then what's left basically of those muscles. So yes, Pilates is fantastic.
Could do that in addition to physical therapy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what is that, a private session with you?
If it's Pilates, yes, that would be private. Unless you are my patient, then we could do it as part of your therapy. But you're okay.
No, but
so
Pilates. Yeah.
But Chris too knows some about Pilates, and he could help you with that as well. But yeah, we could do it as part of your therapy. Otherwise, it would have to be a separate thing.
No, I don't mind the separate. How do I find out about it?
Who am I speaking with?
Debbie?
Okay, Debbie. Yeah, next time you're in the office, we'll talk about it, and I'll discuss it with Chris too, since he knows your situation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I have a question. I'm Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi. Thank you. That was a good presentation. I have no idea what's wrong with my shoulder. I was hoping I could diagnose. I injured my shoulder lifting something heavy, and in fact, the only time that it bothers me here is when there's gravity. If I'm lying on my side and gravity is pulling it down, and I turn over, or if, like when I was doing with the tension, I couldn't use the strap. It hurt too much. But that's the only time that it bothers me, is just kind of like weight bearing or trying to,
It sounds like there's some rotator cuff involvement. Another function of the rotator cuff is that it decelerates the arm, or it stabilizes the arm against gravity. So if you're having pain with it hanging there, there's a good chance that it's injured. And again, what you'd want to do is, we'd have to diagnose it a little bit further, but you would probably want to make sure that the alignment of the joint is in the best position it can be, and strengthen around that. Yeah, and then any tight areas you'd want to loosen that up too. So that definitely sounds. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It definitely sounds like something that we could work with, and it's definitely something I've seen before. Yeah.
Okay. So would it make sense to have like an MRI or an X-ray first before I would come into the office?
Yeah, not necessarily. The biggest thing about MRIs is that they're showing you everything. And more than likely, a lot of us are walking around with some type of rotator cuff tear. It doesn't mean, though, that it needs to be operated on. And sometimes that's what they use MRIs for, to direct,
Right.
what are we going to fix? So no, you don't necessarily need an MRI or X-ray before you come into the clinic.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name's Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
I was in a car accident a few years ago, and the car crashed into my car from the side, from the right side.
Yeah.
And I got really bad whiplash in the right side of my neck, and it radiates down into my shoulder, down into like the elbow, and sometimes I even feel it like out into my hand, and then it goes up into my neck.
Yeah. Sounds nervy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a massage therapist, and he's helped a lot, but I just wonder, like, what would that be about?
Yeah, so it definitely sounds like you've got some sort of nerve irritation, right? Because it's that radiating pain down the arm. Probably is coming from your neck, especially if you had some sort of whiplash injury. Massage is great, but they really only work with soft tissues and muscle. So if there's a joint involvement, which more than likely there is, that may be something that you would want to see a physical therapist for, because we deal with joint mobility and joint pain. So again, that's something that we treat, and we'd love to take a look at it for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Mari, I have one other question.
Sure.
You mentioned a handout. Was
Yes.
that in an email? Handout? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I believe it was sent via email. I will double check with Amanda. There was a basic handout, just kind of with some information about the clinic, and then some questions about what we're talking about tonight. And then there was another handout with the exercises that we did. So it had pictures.
Well, I don't think I got that.
I believe it was emailed. I will double check with Amanda, though, to find out how we can get that to you.
Okay.
We'll
I
double
got in
check.
an email.
We'll
sorry.
double check for those handouts. You should have gotten them, but they will for sure be recorded in the email that you guys get with that goes out later on this evening.
Great.
I got it in email as well.
Oh, great. Good.
Can I ask you a question? This is Anne.
Sure. Hi, Anne.
Hi, I've been a patient of Chris's for a long time, but I haven't seen him in a little bit. I have significant arthritis in my shoulder from an old injury, dislocations, and I had some surgeries, and I think my shoulder just got over tightened in the surgery, and it's just kind of grounded down. And so I have seen a couple of surgeons, and I've had an MRI, and they're convinced that I need a shoulder replacement. And I just had a visco shot, and it just started to really hurt in my life recently.
Yeah.
And so I had a visco shot in it, and it's doing better.
Okay.
Should I do exercises?
Yeah.
It feels much better when I stretch, when I really get a lot of stretching, but I just didn't know how much I should be doing in this time.
Yeah, you definitely should be doing exercise and stretching. The stretching, you just want to make sure that you're not overstretching. So it's always generally going to be like the chest area, the
Right.
traps, the scapular elevators. Those should still be stretched, but
Okay.
you want to keep those scapular muscles strong.
Right.
So again, you can reduce the tension, so you're
Right.
not getting a lot of stress, but you're still getting the strength. You can even, there's more detailed exercises, but just hold positions. For example, I don't know if Chris ever did this with you, but your chest is down and your arms are to the side. It's like, we call it a T.
Yeah.
And you use the blades and you just hold that position. So that's like a very
Okay.
challenging exercise, but not a stressful one if you don't have weight. You're just
Yeah.
holding that position. So something like that would be good.
Okay.
But no, you definitely want to be strengthening all the supportive musculature and everything around it.
Because that could help me postpone this inevitability if I have to have it.
It could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is that something that I should come see you guys for physical therapy, or should I just?
Yeah, no, I would say yes, because I think the exercises need to be directed. I think
Okay.
that, you know, again, Chris could evaluate you and see like, okay, this is where you're weak. This is
Okay.
what needs work. Yeah. for
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And you guys are open and
We are
seeing
open. Physical
patients.
therapy is essential. So we are open.
Okay.
We will be here
Okay.
forever.
Sorry, just so
Everyone,
but,
sorry.
just so
Thank you.
everybody knows, can you tell them a little bit about what we're doing in the clinic to keep everybody safe and protected?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so basically in this time of COVID, we are practicing social distancing by we're spacing out our appointments in longer blocks. So the appointments now are 45 minutes so that we don't have so many people in the clinic at one time. Everyone has to wear a mask. I'm not wearing one now, but I'm talking to you. We are thoroughly cleaning every single surface, table, equipment with alcohol and then
Somebody needs to mute. Somebody needs to mute.
and then our janitorial service cleans every night again. So we are definitely taking all the precautions that we can to keep everybody safe.
We screen everyone as they walk.
Oh, I'm sorry. And we also screen when people come in. We take their temperature, and then they ask a few screening questions about, you know, have you been traveling and that, you know, any flu-like symptoms, that sort of thing.
Do you have to have a prescription to see you guys?
You do not need a prescription right away. It may depend on your insurance. Some
Okay.
insurances do require that you have one, but what we can always do when you come in for the evaluation is if you know the name of your doctor and you have their information, we can go ahead and do the evaluation, write up a plan of care, send that to your doctor, and then they can sign off on that, and that acts as your prescription. So that's
Okay.
possible too.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ask.
Right? Okay, everyone.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
I had a torn rotator cuff that I tore it starting a chainsaw,
Ooh.
and not with the chainsaw, just the physical pulling of starting the motor.
Yeah.
So I was told that it was torn beyond repair, so they had to do a reverse shoulder replacement.
Okay.
And they did that, but then the screws that held it into my scapula, I guess, broke.
Oh.
So now I have a regular, not a reverse shoulder replacement, but I guess I still don't have a rotator cuff, and the movement of my arm is very limited.
Right.
I mean, I can raise my hand, about shoulder height without a problem and out to the side, but I can't raise it up over my head or put it behind my back like that.
Yeah.
Is there
Unfortunately,
anything that can be done about it?
well, yes and no. So unfortunately, when the rotator cuff is completely torn and they can't repair it, that's when they do those types of surgeries. And the reason they do those types of surgeries is because more so because you're having pain rather than you getting back that mobility and function. So you're probably not going to get the mobility back or that active movement back because you don't have a rotator cuff. However, it is a good idea to strengthen all of these supportive muscles so that you can have as much control and function of your arm as you can. But more than likely, you will not be able to raise it all the way up or, you know, do any heavy lifting with that arm because the rotator cuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question too. When I use my arm to exercise, I hear a clicking noise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I have I don't know. I had an MRI a couple years ago, and they said I had a tear, but I didn't want to get surgery. And I don't know what the clicking means. I
Well,
haven't been to the
the
doctor.
clicking is that's a common thing that can't happen if there's tearing, because that means that you're getting, if you have any tearing, there's instability in the shoulder, right? So you're getting a little bit more movement when you're moving that arm, and that can result in clicking. It's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's pretty common, but I would definitely recommend that you do some sort of strengthening so that you're protecting what you have, you know?
Okay.
Is it painful when it clicks?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would address it then. Because if
Okay.
you're getting pain, something's probably rubbing or pinching that really shouldn't be.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
Hi. I have 2 tears in my rotator cuff due to heavy lifting at work. So it's a work-related injury. Had it for 7 months now.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying not to have surgery. Saw my surgeon, says we have to discuss surgery and we need to do this, we need to do that. And it's because I don't have full range of my arm. I can't go to the side and I can't reach all the way up.
Yeah.
I can't reach all, like undo something.
Have you tried
It's a significant size, 15 millimeters.
But is it
Is that a large, considered a large?
Is it complete or is it partial?
No, 15 millimeters, no.
Okay. So, I mean, if it's not a complete rupture, there's a possibility that you know, again, through strengthening or conservative treatment, you could get more range and more function out of that shoulder. So I would definitely try, you know, something non-invasive first, before you jump straight to surgery. Because you want to make sure, you know, you've exhausted all options before you do something.
I would like to try more. And then he's like, well, you know, ultimately you're not going to be able to get any more height out of your arm that you have. And if you want to live with it that way, then live with it, or you need surgery. So, but I heard from other people, if they have physical therapy for like months, like one lady, my friend did it for 7 months and she did not end up having surgery. She got more range in her arm. She's like, so that takes a long time and a lot of dedication, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. Do you know of any supplements that are good for shoulders or joints, or do you recommend any of that, or
yeah, I don't, only because there hasn't been definitive evidence saying that one supplement is better than another. So I don't recommend anything specific, but I definitely have a lot of patients who have told me about different supplements they're using that they feel is helpful, but I don't recommend, there's nothing specific that I recommend.
And my doctor wants to give me an injection, like every time I go, oh, do you want cortisone injection? No, I actually don't. I'm trying to like handle my pain, doing my exercise, trying to work through this. And then now I want to get a second opinion because I just feel this doctor wants to push me into surgery.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I would want to exhaust, if it were me, I would want to exhaust all conservative measures before, you know, committing to a surgery. So and we have had really great results with people that have tears and
a larger tear.
Yeah.
Like a good sized tear. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm hopeful.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you so much to everyone for coming to this workshop and for discussing your issues here with me. And I really do hope that you'll take advantage of what we offer here and start getting on the road to handling your pain. It was good seeing everyone online, and maybe we'll see you in person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, Rangers. Bye.
Bye, guys.
I'll stop that.